Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2021 and welcome to your qualifying review here in Imola for the 2021 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Last time out under the floodlights in Bahrain, it was Max Verstappen who claimed the first pole position of the 2021 season, but with Hamilton claiming victory on Sunday, could Max bounce back in Imola and take his revenge in qualifying in today's session? As always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe. Obvious spoiler warning for the qualifying session ahead, so if you've not yet seen it, go and watch the highlights and then come back for our qualifying review. But with the spoiler warning out of the way, here is your results for today's qualifying session. Claiming his first pole position in 2021, his 99th in Formula 1 history, Sir Lewis Hamilton claimed pole position. Not his best lap, and I think looking from the pace of other cars, wasn't necessarily the best car on the grid today. However, Lewis kept it clean, got the job done, pole position. It was also a great lap from the Red Bull new boy Sergio Perez. P2 for the Mexican driver, beating teammate Max Verstappen only at the second time of asking. A great job from Checo. The first time since 2018 a teammate has beat Max Verstappen. A great job from the Mexican driver, but no doubts Verstappen will be kicking himself after that session. A big mistake in sector 1, going wide onto the grass and the exit of turn 2. Losing time will start tomorrow's race in third position. It was Charles Leclerc who once again got the maximum out of that Ferrari. P4 for the second week in a row. Awesome job from the Ferrari driver, with Pierre Gasly also for the second time of asking, starting P5 in 2021. But both of their teammates struggling a little bit more in today's session. Sainz and Tsunoda with work to do tomorrow. The two McLarens once again 6th and 7th, but heartbreak for Lando Norris was so close to pole position. We're not talking front row, pole position potential in that lap today, in that car today, but just inches over the white line at the end of sector 2, lost his lap due to track limits and will start behind his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who up until that point was really struggling in qualifying today, but ultimately has beat his teammate for 2 weekends in a row. The big shock, Bottas P8, we have to talk about him in a moment's time. Ocon and Stroll rounded out your top 10. The bottom half, a bit of a mixed bag than what we're used to, especially compared to last weekend. Carlos Sainz, P11, will start on a fresh compound of tyres for the race tomorrow, and hopefully that'll give him a bit of an edge over some of those guys a little bit further down in the top 10. A great day for Williams, saw both drivers make it through to Q2 for the first time since Hungary of last season, right at the start of the 2020 calendar. Great drives from George Russell and also Nicholas Latifi, who throughout the weekend has had so much pace, it looked plausible he could beat teammate George Russell, but when push came to shove, Russell so close to getting through to Q3, just a 10th away from making it into the top 10. Didn't quite happen, but what is lovely to see is that car has some pace. In between the two Williams, with Sebastian Vettel 13th, a big improvement from out in Q1 in Bahrain, but still work to do for the Aston Martin squad. Alonso, a big disappointment for him, 15th, couldn't beat either of the Williams cars, couldn't beat Vettel, and for the first time since 2017, couldn't beat his teammate in qualifying. Yes, he's had a couple of years out, but just a fun statistic to throw in there for you. It was the two Alphas 16th and 17th, the two Haas cars 18th and 19th, and Yuki Tsunoda finding the barriers on his first flying lap in Q1 will start dead last tomorrow in P20. But as we move over to our qualifying rundown, we've got to start at the front of the field, because once again the battle for supremacy in 2021 seems to be anyone's guess. Heading into the session, it seemed like Red Bull surely were going to get pole position, and they were so close with 2 and 3, but once again, for the 99th time, which still baffles me that someone can have 99 pole positions, Lewis Hamilton will start tomorrow's race from the front of the grid. And whilst it wasn't one of Lewis's mega laps, mega performances that we are used to and we have seen in the past, keeping it consistent, more importantly, making sure your lap is clean, was the aim of the game today. No running wide, no silly little moments dipping a wheel into the gravel, none of that. Ultra smooth, ultra consistent, and that's why he's on pole position. And I think what's even more telling that Mercedes car isn't the car to beat was Valtteri Bottas. 8th place, a dreadful day in terms of result. No way should a Mercedes be that far down on the grid. And with that result today, Bottas will start tomorrow's race closer to Russell than he is Hamilton. A story which I am sure will keep building up over the course of this season. But what I will say about Valtteri today is that though today is a disappointment, you can't change that now. He will start tomorrow's race in 8th place. We saw last time out Sergio Perez start from outside the top 10. I think tomorrow's a great opportunity for Bottas to prove that he is a driver capable of not only fighting his way through the field, but bringing back big results when things don't go your way on Saturday. And in a season where Mercedes are very much going to be analysing what Russell can do in a pretty poor car at the rear of that midfield, can he score points? Will be his aim. Of course, Bottas wants to be aiming for victories, wants to be fighting for the title, but I think tomorrow's a good opportunity for him to really show the team what he can do when things aren't necessarily going your way. Work to do for Bottas tomorrow, and for Hamilton, up against both Red Bull cars on split strategies, both Hamilton and Bottas and Verstappen on the mediums, Sergio Perez will start on the soft. A great day for Checo. It's the first time in his Formula 1 career he'll be starting a Grand Prix from the front row. The first driver since Daniel Ricciardo in 2018 to outqualify Max Verstappen. But I think what was more important today was getting used to that car and probably aiming for the top 4. Top 3 if you were going to be kind. So starting P2, happy days for the Mexican driver. So close to pole position, and actually he was gutted with second place, really kicking himself after that session, which for me says everything about what Sergio Perez wants to do this season. He is very much focused on not only taking the fight to Mercedes, but also Verstappen. And whilst Max made that mistake in Q3 on his final run, going wide on the exit of turn 2, dipping a tyre or two into the grass, of course, that would have made the difference for Verstappen's pole position lap. But a great day for Red Bull. Tomorrow's race, though they're not starting on pole, is very much in their hands. They know they've got Hamilton on their own, on 2 cars, on split strategies. The race at the front tomorrow is going to be so good. Into that midfield though, and once again, anyone's guess. We were almost at a stage today where a McLaren could have started on pole position, and even Charles Leclerc wasn't that far off, 3/10 at the end of the session. We could see a few surprises in qualifying this year, but that Ferrari has some serious pace. Leclerc, once again faultless. The big story with Ferrari is Carlos Sainz, P11. And though it's not ideal, I think this is a theme we've seen for many of the drivers that have swapped to a new team. It's taking them all a little bit of time to get up to speed. That is fully understandable, fully respectable, and when that midfield is so close, as close as it is this season, we're always going to have big stories. Last time out, Vettel out in Q1. Today, Alonso down in 15th, out-qualified by both Williams. And I think these teething problems will come about. Even Daniel Ricciardo today did get through to Q3, actually did end up out-qualifying Norris. But for Sainz, 11th, with the alternate strategy compared to almost everyone inside that top 10, isn't always a bad thing. And I think though he'll be a one to watch tomorrow, I think he could score big if things go his way. Gasly, like Leclerc, faultless today. We knew that car was going to be good. I did think he'd have a little sniff at P4. So close, but not quite. Beaten by his good friend Leclerc. but Yuki Tsunoda, another driver we thought would do great things today. Could it be the first time through to Q3? Sadly no. Crashing on his very first lap, losing the rear, well, kind of heading into the chicane at the start of Sector 3. Corrected, but not enough. Lost the rear again coming on the exit of the chicane. The rear end spinning round into the wall. Out on the spot. Will start tomorrow's race, either in P20 or the pit lane. Wouldn't surprise me if they do decide to go with the pit lane start, not only because I think they may have to do a gearbox change, but also how narrow this circuit is, how many rookies, and slightly aggressive rookies, are going to be starting at the back of the field tomorrow. I think it could be safe just to put Yuki in the pit lane, try something really bold with strategy, and let him go for it. Yes, today is a disappointment, but like I will say with Bottas, very different stages of their career, mind, but what I will say for Yuki, look at Alex Albon in China 2019. A drive many would consider one of his best in Formula 1. He started from the pit lane in that race and scored points. It's not all over yet. Yes, China is a much easier circuit to overtake, but I think Yuki has potential for tomorrow. He's got a good car. The weekend's not over yet, and we've seen all of the rookies so far. Spin, make mistakes, crash into the walls. Yes, it's not ideal, it's in a qualifying session, but that's the point of being a rookie. That's the point of learning. That's the point of progressing. But as we always say, always say, points are on Sunday. And a team that will be more than aware of that today is McLaren. 6th and 7th, not ideal. They had a car that could have been on pole position. Ricciardo not quite able to reach the heights of Lando Norris, just scraping through to Q3, and though Danny Rick had a quiet session for the most part, he has ended up beating his teammate because that big story will be the track limits. Much better, I will say, Formula 1 on track limits today. And for Lando, going inches wide, was so unlucky. But they are the rules. So many others drivers today got called out by track limits. It just stings that little bit more, however. We could have seen a complete wild card on pole position tomorrow. They've got a great car. They know they've got good race pace. And 6th and 7th isn't all that bad. The upgrades on the Alpine seem to be working. Do they? I don't really know. Ocon, much better. Beating Fernando Alonso, that's what he needed to do last time out, was unlucky with the red flag in Bahrain. Much better today. Bouncing back, P9, a great job. For Fernando Alonso, a driver who has so much history at this circuit, I'm a little bit surprised. His return last time out was fantastic. So unlucky to retire from the race because very easily could have finished 6th or 7th. But for whatever reason today, could not find the pace. Alpine still, to me, seems to be one of the biggest enigmas, biggest question marks on where their true pace lies, but I think on the fringes of Q3, Q2 is roughly where they are. A similar story to Aston Martin, who are almost a carbon copy of last time out. P10 again for Lance Stroll, who didn't set a lap in Q3, but still making it through to Q3. Great for him nonetheless. For Vettel, an improvement. 13th this time through to Q2, but that car still doesn't look fantastic. Still looks like they're going to have their work cut out for them if they want to score big in tomorrow's race. And though for Aston, 1.2 points wouldn't really mean a lot in the grand scheme of things, for Williams, that would mean so much. So much progress over the winter. They have been very open that their car will work on some tracks and not others, and it seemed to be working today. George Russell, 12th, 1/10 of making it through to Q3. He'll be gutted, but a great drive nonetheless. And Latifi, who had looked on fire all weekend, will probably be a bit annoyed that George Russell has beat him, but he'll be very happy, over the moon, with his best ever qualifying in Formula 1 history. A team I was surprised with today, Alfa Romeo. Technically, our 9th worst team. Second last. A car that looked pretty good in Bahrain, fighting on the points, 11th and 12th at the checkered flag. things just didn't go their way. Raikkonen 1/10 off Alonso's time in Q1, and Giovinazzi caught up in that traffic, had a bit of a battle with Mazepin down towards turn 1 on their final run. Not ideal, both of them compromising their laps as a result. And for the Haas boys, another quiet day really. Schumacher beating his teammate Mazepin. Mazepin no spinning this time, but did once again find himself in the gravel. He just needs a clean session. Once again, it's not gone his way. But in a car that is so bad, both drivers will just want to reach the checkered flag. Both will want to be keeping on building this experience, and Schumacher so far this weekend has looked quite good. So fair play to Mick Schumacher, who was very close, not only to beating both Alfa Romeos, but not a million miles away from Q2. And with that out of the way, before we go, let's take a quick look at ones to watch. But first up, my driver of the day. Quite a few candidates, but I'm giving it to Mr. Qualifying, Mr. Saturday, George Russell. P12 for Williams not only is a great result, but 1/10 off making it through to Q3. A mega drive from the British driver. The Williams team in general, definitely my team of the day. And ones to watch for the race tomorrow, Valtteri Bottas in P8 on the medium tyres, Alonso 15th. Keep an eye out for the Spanish master. The other Spanish driver, Carlos Sainz, on the alternate strategy to the top 10, starting 11th. What can he do? But the racing reviews ones to watch for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix is Yuki Tsunoda. We saw glimpses of what he can do last time out in Bahrain. Can he do it again this weekend? And that is it from me. The race tomorrow is at 2 o'clock British time, Imola. Will it spring up a surprise? We'll have to wait and see. I'll be back tomorrow for your race review, and also I'll be live with the F1 Word with some race reaction at about 5 o'clock over on the F1 Word channel. Thanks guys for watching. If you are new, feel free to subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next one.